Welcome to Geek Herring, a critical geek culture podcast where we talk about intersectional and inclusive feminism in a male-dominated environment. Hi, I'm Amanda, and with me today is my awesome, hilarious, and very warm-looking co-host, Monica. Hi, Mom.
That's just a facade. I just look warm. I am not warm.
That's fair.
But yeah,
Money is
it's
all wrapped up in a warm, fleecy sweater hug.
kinda yes. Yeah, because it's too cold. It turns out that my heating wasn't working as I thought it was, so I was sitting in the cold for too long. Let's just say that. And I was like, I can do this. It's gonna be fine. But I reached a point where I can't do it anymore.
No, it's cold. It's like it took a long time for it to be cold. Here in the
It's
UK, like
true.
it was coming in so slowly. It was like, this is basically summer. And then overnight it was like, this is the fucking middle of winter.
Honestly, it was so warm for so long. There was also like when I was thinking about what clothes to bring for the Christmas party this weekend, I was like, this is gonna be fine. I can wear like tights and a dress and stuff. I am not wearing tights and a dress. I even bought like new nice and no, not doing it. Too fucking cold. No fucking way
Absolutely
shall I
not.
be wearing a dress.
No.
But yeah, it was like it was almost tropical for like that's bullshit. But it was really warm for a very long
It
time.
was too warm. It was so warm that that we have like flowering bushes outside our house, and they started to flower
Oh
in
wow.
November. I was like, this is
Yeah.
not good. This is
No.
really not good.
I mean they're on the edge of death now, I guess.
Mm,
Aw, poor flower bushes.
I know. I was like, oh no, oh no, no.
uh, it wouldn't matter what season the flowers I would have be living in because they're just gonna all die anyway, even if
Hmm.
they're the right one.
Why would they die?
Because I'm so shit with plants.
Oh, these are like outside bushes that I have no control over.
I would be able to kill those too.
Impressive, impressive. I'm actually doing really well with my plants. They're thriving for the first time in my
Nice.
life.
Cool.
Blurry, come back. Thank you.
I had a couple of succulents. I put them in the dining room. That was a bad idea because then I forgot I had them, and then they now
Mm.
they all died a slow, painful death in the dining room because I'm
I'm so
never in
sad for
there.
you. Yeah.
It's fine. They
This
were
is
just like tiny IKEA ones. If Charlie would hear this, he would be super upset with me. Oh no, what happened? Hello?
hello. I'm showing
Can
you
you
the
hear
bottom
me?
of my devil's ivy.
I'm sorry, we
Yes.
can't see it because you're frozen on my screen.
Oh, that's so sad.
I don't 100% know why you're frozen again because my screen just went black.
Oh, that's not cool.
Oh no.
Yep, I'm definitely frozen on your screen. I'm because I'm watching our stream.
My iPad, I think, died. I don't know why it died
Great.
because I plugged it in and everything.
This is going excellent. So good. So
This is
good.
like the constant tech situations recently is just not funny anymore.
Honestly.
But I have your face. Let me just put your face where it's supposed to be.
Okay. Yeah,
Then you can
just
share a
just do
plant
that.
again.
Oh, am I coming back and properly now?
You will be in 2 seconds. Hey, I mean, I am the fucking. I have like the. Oh my god. I have the hand of like precision, which is unfucking real. I don't even need to move you anymore. You're like in the perfect spot, and I just put the window somewhere. Ah, I'm so good.
Is it me? I am in the perfect spot.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That was just for the podcast.
I figured that was for the podcast.
You were looking so weird, and people were like,
No,
"What's
well,
wrong
I
with
was
her?"
like, we were kind of doing that when we were starting the podcast because we used to talk for so long, but we actually already started the podcast. So,
But now you see where the issue was.
okay.
That's why I
Thank
did
you.
it. Around there
Thanks.
somewhere.
Thanks. I would clap, but I actually cannot.
Anyway, your plants, you said.
I have plans and they're doing very well. That's all I said. Really.
Perfect.
Yes. But we're not here to talk about our plans.
Not today, no.
That would be
Maybe
a
there
cool
is one
episode, though.
episode out there. I don't know when. I don't know what I can contribute. Not a lot, but you know.
Hello, my name is Monica, and I kill all of my plants.
Exactly.
Mhm.
I have a black thumb and everything goes to die. We are here to talk about something way better. Well, for some people. I think it's way better.
I also think it's way better.
Cool.
We are talking about Wakanda Forever.
Yay!
Yay!
So you just need to be aware that this is not a spoiler-free episode. So if you haven't watched it yet and want to watch it, then this episode
And
is
you want
not
to
for you.
avoid
Yes.
spoilers.
You want to avoid spoilers, then this episode is not for you. But you can come back
So
when you
pause
watched it
it.
and things.
Yeah. Pause it, go watch it, like right now, and then come
Yes.
back.
You will not regret it as well.
No, you won't. It's a fantastic film. We're spoiling our thoughts on it already. We loved it. I mean, no
Yes.
one is surprised that we loved it.
I mean, I loved it, but unlike with the first one, I have a couple of things where I'm like, I don't know how much I like that. But in general, I really loved it, and it was definitely the Marvel movie where I think I cried the most throughout the entire movie. Like for different reasons throughout the movie repeatedly.
I cried a lot. Tom and I were in floods of tears at the beginning, and like the cinema was quite full, and we're pretty sure we're like the only ones crying. We were like like I had to go and get my tissues out and like give tissues to both of us. Like it was so emotional.
It really was. I was, unlike you, I was totally alone in my cinema. because because I did go to the English cinema in Graz. And I don't think that, and they have it repeatedly there, right? So with like not just one. And I don't think a lot of people want to watch it in English too. So I was literally the only one in that entire cinema, which was a tiny fucking thing, but it was still pretty hilarious because I could just do whatever I want, and that was great. So I was just bawling my eyes out there on my own. It's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm. I don't know which is better, sucking them back in or
No,
just
sucking them
letting
back
it
in is
go.
never better.
No, it's not. Tom says I buried my face in my scarf. I was crying hard at the start. It was that damn silence on the Marvel intro that got me. Yeah, okay, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. And I think that it's very apt actually that we are talking about this because day of recording would have been Chadwick Boseman's 46th birthday. So happy birthday.
Which is not like we had no idea when we
No.
decided that we're gonna record this episode today. And then Amanda sent me the tweet which was like, look, Chadwick Boseman's birthday would have been today, and it was really weird. So how fucking fitting.
Very fitting. And because I was actually on the edge of canceling today because I'm not feeling that good. And then I was like, no, we have to record. So
yeah.
So the beginning of Wakanda Forever is a funeral for King T'Challa.
Yeah. And it
And it
was
was
so
beautiful,
yeah.
sad,
Amanda's already done
heartbreaking.
again.
No, not yet, not yet.
Yeah, it was such a beautiful celebration of so much. I feel like it was
Mhm.
an honor, and it was an obvious honoring of T'Challa and Chadwick Boseman in that regard, and it was like this massive celebration of like African culture and how they deal with death. I feel like I don't think you see
Mhm.
this so often in movies the way they've been doing it here. Like it was like they've not just like talked a bit about it, but they've like really, I feel like it felt like they really went out with it.
Mhm.
And it was basically after they had already, so the queen, I forgot her name, Ramonda, there we go,
Mhm.
had already lost her husband previously, and now they've lost T'Challa to an illness. Shuri tried to save him but couldn't, and so Ramonda and Shuri were the only ones basically left in that family, and Ramonda became queen of Wakanda um, after the passing of her husband and her son.
Mhm.
And so you saw all of that a bit in the beginning. So with the funeral of how she's the queen now and how they celebrated him and his. And I mean, this was like this. It was just like goosebumps all over on not only the celebration of the death, like the celebration of, and um, but also how they then the way they did it with the coffin and things. I just thought there was also just this all just went right into the feels.
Mhm. Yeah, the excuse me, the emblem of the Black Panther on top of the coffin, and just the whole like carrying it, and then the woman walking behind it, and like it was so emotional like that. And then like the actual coffin getting taken away, it did the most Wakandan thing ever. Like it went up into a spaceship or like a flight,
Mm.
like an airplane. Like it went up, and it flew off with his coffin, and it was like that part was unexpected to me, but it also made it, because then right after that it went into this absolutely silent Marvel intro, and the whole thing was just images and scenes of Chadwick Boseman over the films, like the history of the films, and that silence. That's when we all started to cry.
Mm.
It was so much. It was a lot.
I think
It
they've
was
done a
really well
really good
done.
job with honoring him as much as they could, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
When I didn't look that up, and I don't know if you know, um, because obviously that was kind of like they didn't cast him with the knowledge that he's not going to be around for the second movie that they're going to bring out. So I'm wondering if that storyline um, about what happens to the Black Panther is actually accurate to the comics, or if that's something that they put together after Chadwick Boseman died.
I don't know for sure, but I think like they had it first. Like there was the question of whether they would recast
Yeah,
Black Panther,
I do
which
recall that.
yeah, which to me would indicate that it wasn't um that this isn't part of the storyline, and that they have obviously veered off from the comics now, in honor of Chadwick Boseman, because he's
Mm-hmm.
irreplaceable. And
Yeah.
I mean, aside from the obvious lack of Chala, I really like where they're taking Wakandan storyline.
Yeah.
Like, and I couldn't imagine an alternative, if that makes sense. Like, now that I've seen it, I was like, this just is like, it makes sense in the overall like Marvel storyline, but also it's really sad.
I mean, it would have been super, like, if they would have cast any other black men to be the Black Panther, that would almost, I mean, it's so hard because you say it would almost be impossible to fill this role. At the same time, a lot of roles have been filled over the course of history where you're like, they've done a really great job with it. Still, like, you wouldn't kind of know, but I feel like it's really nice, respectful, kind of, which doesn't happen very often. And I mean, we also don't know if that's how it's gonna stay for the rest of the cinematic universe in that regard. But you'd be like, but for now, it seems like something that hasn't happened a lot. That somebody's not, even though the storyline would tell you to continue with someone else as Black Panther, some other black man as Black Panther, that would then, like, this seems like the first time that they're not doing this, at least for now, which I think is really a big gesture too, I feel. It honors what he has brought to this series and to the MCU, basically. Also as an actor and as a person, which is really nice.
Yeah. It honors the legacy of Chadwick Boseman and Black Panther, and Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther. Yeah.
Yuffie says she wore whitened colors of her indigenous ancestors to the cinema, and she wasn't the only one. A lot of moviegoers also wore white in the theater, which I think is nice. Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's cool.
That's really cool. It's a nice gesture from the cinema goers for sure. So I think, I don't know what you think, Moni, but I felt like this entire film was about processing grief. Like, pretty much the entire story, every character that you meet is in some way working through grief.
Yeah.
And it left, despite it being like a fantastic film, it was heavy. Like, it was not an easy watching film.
I think there were kind of two things at the same time. On the one hand, I feel this movie was a massive celebration of Black women. Like, this was, I feel they tried a bunch of things there, and you say, yes, grief, this was one thing that goes through it all, but I feel like this seems to, I think, how do I say this? I think when you've experienced grief to a certain degree, and we all have experienced grief, obviously, but some grief hits harder than other grief sometimes. So when you've hit this certain amount of grief in your life, you live with this grief like you live with it all the time. So it's kind of always this undertone to life and how you deal with it, which doesn't seem like it, and you don't always hear it if you haven't experienced this level of grief in a way. So you like, you don't see this, but now I feel like sometimes then you start to see it more often and in way more stories than you wouldn't have seen before. And so I feel like this is one of those where, like, this movie is a lot about grief, yes. But I also think that maybe not everybody who has not been on this grief journey in a similar way, and we all kind of have been, would not have all totally noticed that with a lot of, because as you say, it's been for a lot of different characters in a lot of different settings in a lot of different ways. I don't know how obvious this is to everyone technically, because there's so many stories at the same time that were going on. Which I would kind of say this is one of the things where where I think they try to they tried to pack a lot of stuff in this movie,
Mm-hmm.
which made it a bit full with content in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Because
that's a
not
good point.
because not only do you have like the storyline of Wakanda and what is going on with the royalty there, like who is the queen or the ruler now, and then you have the lack of the Black Panther, what is happening with that. So Ramonda is not the new Black Panther, but so that is missing. So it's like the story of the royalness and the kingdom, and then there's the story about the Black Panther, and that one's gone. Then there is the story about this second these new people that show up all of a sudden, that nobody knows who they are, that look a lot, that remind you a lot of Avatar people in a way, because they're all blue. So this additional civilization that nobody knows exists, it seems like it's a separate story in itself. And then you have the story within there where like, who is that person, who is their leader, how did they come to be, how is their I feel there were so many stories in this time.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the story of
Yeah.
Nakia, is that her name? I think that was her
Mm-hmm.
name. I feel there were
Yeah.
so many different kinds of aspects this time, which made it like really a bit convoluted in a way, which I think they still, if they considering all of that, it was like under 3 hours, the movie. Like this, you still got a lot done. Like it wasn't like massively confusing, but it's that thing when you have so much story to get across, like there's just sometimes stuff is gonna fall through in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like in some areas where I'm like, oh, I wish that was a bit too fast for me, or that I would have loved to see this a bit differently, or see the process here in a different way. Mainly because, but obviously we have like a limited amount of time here and so many stories, so you need to like be on the spot for more on the spot for some than you would have otherwise been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Some of the characters hit a bit harder for me than others, like with their storylines with grief. Like I really felt Shuri's avoidance of it. Like I really felt that. And like Ramonda taking her to like try to start that healing process. Um, like I thought that was probably a very relatable expression of grief. Because I mean, who wants to think about the hard stuff, right?
I mean, mood.
Like
Yeah.
we all, like most of us, I think, are more into avoidance rather than dealing with our feelings. Monty, you can back me up here.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the thing is, you only realize later that
mhm.
avoidance doesn't get you anywhere, because it will come to haunt you eventually anyway. And for some people it takes longer than for others, but it will come back to haunt you in one way or the other. So it's not, you're not really avoiding it, you're just postponing it and putting it in a pressure cooker and wait for it to explode. And that's what's happening, and it's gonna happen. Like nobody ever in history said, I sat that one out because I avoided it for so long until it didn't matter anymore. That's just never the outcome with anything.
Nope, never.
And yeah.
Yeah. And I think that over the course of the film, like Shuri does kind of come to that realization. Like she goes through all these emotions and like processing like avoidance and pushing on, like, she has to be the savior of everything, and like she has to go and Okoye trying to get her out to like go on these missions, and then she's trying to go her own way and like be the strong person, even though she still is dealing with all this stuff inside. And then she goes through like this really anger arc, and that's totally understandable because you're allowed to be angry when somebody you love dies. And
Mm.
um, I think that's only natural. And so seeing that play out in her storyline was really powerful, because you don't often see media depictions of women being angry in like about something like this.
Mm. What I didn't really enjoy, like, yes, I see what you like. I get what you mean, and I totally agree with you that anger is something that is necessary and needs to be visible and things. What I didn't fully enjoy was her revenge arc, mainly because they've built her up, story wise. For me, in her story before, there wasn't really that massive room for that revenge arc in it. So, in the way they tried to then tell the story, and I would like to have more explanation on why she saw Killmonger and what that exactly, like. I feel like I have this gap there. What happened there with
Mm.
her and for me those two bits, they don't connect somehow.
Mm-hmm. Um, my interpretation of that was that she has been trying to avoid like the hard feelings for so long. And Killmonger is like, yes, feed into your dark side, like keep avoiding them and choose revenge and choose that like anger and be that darker person.
I don't know.
And taking that moment of like her weakness to manipulate her a little bit.
What it was a bit the moment in which he showed up for me. Like, it's not that, like, I've watched the first one, not fully. I just had it running in the background. I was doing something else the other day, and I don't feel like they had this some kind of connection even in this first movie. Like, they were more two characters, for me at least, running next to each other. Unreal, like, obviously she was offended and it was all tragic and blah blah. He took the crown, blah blah blah, and he was and all that. But there wasn't this general connection of them, and I know that they are like related. So he's as much as her ancestor as anyone else is. But because there wasn't this, and you know that there sometimes can be like people on opposite sides that still for some reason have some kind of connection even though they disagree, and there is something there. But for me, there was nothing between those two in a way, aside from him, because it was always more about T'Challa and the crown and everything. And so that he showed up for her in her transition to the Black Panther was confusing me.
Mm.
And yes, he's just as much as an ancestor, and he can show up as much as he and stuff. Like, I can see that, but for me at least, I feel that even in this state of the ancestors show up for you, for me there would be some kind of deliberate situation of, you don't know who you want, who will show up for you, but it is somebody that cares about you. And he didn't really give a shit about anyone. And least of all about Shuri. And it felt so weird that it happened in this moment, because it was not about him.
Mm-hmm.
So why is he here? And like, that was this where I'm like, it's not about you, it's about her, and she could have gotten angry with, I feel, with everyone else. It's like, even if like her mother showed up there, or her father showed up there, or T'Challa showed up there and stuff, like, even then I feel like there would have been room for her to still be angry. and still like go for that revenge. But he felt so misplaced for me in that moment, because I'm like, why are you here? Like, yes, I get that it's like the channeling her for the revenge, and because he's that, well, let's call it weak link in this ancestry situation somehow. Well, aside from maybe his father or whatever, but where he demanded what he thought he deserved, and like what he thought was right, and I can see why that was a good fuel to good can of oil to fuel her revenge. But for me, it didn't make sense that he was there.
Yeah, I do see that. I understand what you're saying completely. It was a bit misplaced, but I'm sure there was a reason that they chose Killmonger as the guide, the person.
Yuffie said there was an audible gasp when he showed up on screen. I wasn't expecting it. From you
No,
or from the entire movie?
Everyone.
Cinema. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time an entire cinema reacted to something spectacular.
But I also think that Shuri's revenge plot, even though like it didn't really feel like it was her character, it was mirroring Namor's revenge plot. And like avenging his mother and keeping, like, because he was definitely holding on to that grief, and he's been alive for a very long time, because apparently
he's so old.
They are what are they, what was their tribe called? The
Taco something. More Taco.
Talokan. Talokan. Like they are apparently like pretty much immortal or something. Like they live for a very, very, very long time. So he has been holding on to this grief for like years,
I think they said
decades.
it in the movie, but I forgot about it. If it was hundreds of thousands of years. I think there's like I have like thousands of years in my head, but it must
I think it's hundreds
be right.
because when just if you haven't seen the movie, I go see it. It was a Mesoamerican inspired nation, like in Mexico, and there was scenes of like the Spanish conquistadors coming and violently taking the land from the indigenous population there, and then they became these immortal blue beings, except for Namor and his mother, who still retained their like human features. They could just breathe underwater.
Is Namor mortal?
He can't be. He's like hundreds of years old.
Yeah, never mind. That was a stupid question.
So he can breathe underwater. So I mean, and live underwater. I don't know. But then he can also breathe normal air without having the like water mask on. But yes, anyways, sorry, the revenge plot with the two of them, like their plot lines, not like the revenge plot. Revenge plot lines. So two different meanings, very similar sayings, two very different meanings. It mirrored each other, and I think like they were both holding on to this pain, Namor for a lot longer than Shuri, and like trying to get revenge for the pain that they feel. And in the end, like they realized that holding on to this revenge and trying to destroy each other was just going to end up destroying themselves. So there was really only one solution, and that was to stand side by side and to let the revenge and the past hurts kind of go, to start to heal from that. Because two like wildly powerful nations would have just destroyed each other
and the world with it. I'm pretty sure. And I mean, he was ready for it. I don't think he gave a shit.
No, anymore. He was ready to watch the world burn.
How do you generally think the introduction of this nation? What do you think? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I was like, my first thoughts, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, damn, I didn't know that Wakandans could do underwater shit. And
I
then I
love
was
that.
like, oh, they're not Wakandan.
Yeah, I had like a massive Avatar moment there. Maybe also two
Mm,
seconds because I had the advertisement for Avatar too just before the movie.
I
So I was
did
like,
too, yeah.
oh, okay, I've seen that
Yeah.
before.
Mhm. But no, in general, I am really, really, really intrigued by this storyline. I found out, and I said to you just before we started recording that Namor was introduced in the Marvel comics in 1939. 1939. That's a really long time ago.
Yeah.
He was also known as Submariner because obviously he can do underwater stuff, and he was at one point described as the first mutant. Um,
He
so
said
he's
that in
like,
the movie too, didn't he?
so he's like kind of linked to the X-Men and the Avengers and the Fantastic Four. Like he kind of borders all sorts of Marvel storylines. And I'm genuinely quite excited that we're introduced to him now, to see what kind of storylines that we're going to get with this, because I mean, number one, Talokan, or I'm pretty sure it's basically Atlantis, right? An underwater city.
Yeah.
um like it looks amazing, and I'm just like, tell me all of this story, tell me all of it, please, thank you.
Yeah. I can see that. I
You
just
don't
have
share my thoughts.
Well, I share your thoughts. Objectively, I share your thoughts. Because I think it's great that we got an introduction to um more like South American culture or Central American culture and history and like celebrating that as well, right? So we have the African storylines and the black storylines with which we haven't had and have never have enough of, obviously, unfortunately, not obviously. So that's like Wakanda is already, and Black Panther is already like a celebration of all of that, which we should see in all of different movies and cinematic and things anyway. So I enjoyed that there was this introduction to this side of the world, this other side of the world with their culture and their stories, because I mean, obviously, you see the guy and you think you're weird, like you have like wings on your feet, like Hermes, and but it's also like a separate kind of godly storyline too. I would assume like the northern storylines that are taken within Marvel with Thor and Odin and Loki and all of these. So I like that we get this introduction into this South American, Central American um, stories. Love that. Super here for it. I found the character was weird. Like, what is with this? What is why can you fly? And I have this weird because of the wings. The wings kind of weird. It was this weird combo of him being a fish and a bird. Somehow, well, not, but like kinda. I'm like, huh? And I somehow have a really underwater things make me really uneasy.
Hmm.
And in this particular case, it was really so dark too. Like I've watched Aquaman and stuff in Atlantis. and and that he's a fly fish. Those are a thing, right? Charlie says. So I've watched Aquaman obviously with like Jason Momoa, obviously. And I don't recall this being so dark. Like because you see them when they swim to Talokan, how he has to go like down, 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 down because it's so dark there. And I love that everything otherwise, like theoretically I love everything about it, but like subjectively when I see it here seeing this is almost my worst nightmare. Like it's like underwater levels in video games make me feel a bit uneasy. And this is kind of the same. Even though I
Mm.
know they can breathe and everything, but I'm like, wow, this is so like I'm just keep imagining this depression. I get like secondhand claustrophobia just thinking about it. That's what kind of weirded me out about it. And they're all so angry. And again, it's like fair and like based on the story, this is all understandable. But why do we all need to like anger does like this kind of anger and holding on to this kind of anger won't get it's not get like it's just causing pain to other people. And that's basically his mission, and that's what he ended on as well. Like he defeat well he that's not the word. He gave up on like Shuri was like, I'm either gonna kill you or we're gonna work together. Because otherwise we're both gonna die anyway. But he was then afterwards somebody from the fighter, one of his fighter people that are close to him, was like, I thought we were gonna fight, and I was ready to fight for you until basically the end of days, and now you're like going into cahoots with them and whatever. And then he's like, nye, 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 nye. I am just telling them what they want to hear, because in the end they're gonna turn to us and we're gonna be massive, and it's all gonna be, and it's just this fake ass plot, and that's already pissing me off.
Well, it's tying into the next Avengers movie, Secret Wars, which is going to be where like Namor and Shuri are leading this new generation, new phase of Avengers into the next thing.
I had no idea.
Thank you, the Mary Sue. So like there is a purpose for all of this, and it's furthering the next phase of Marvel films. And I just want to go back to your point about the wings on his ankles, because like, yes, they are kind of strange. They're like these teeny tiny little ankle wings, but that can carry around this really buff man with no issues. So in 1939, when Namor was first introduced, Submariner first introduced, he had these little tiny little ankle wings. And I think that they were keeping true to the comics, because they changed, I think, a lot about his storyline and his background and everything.
In the movie?
In the movie.
Okay.
To bring in more tribes, make it more in line with 2022, make it more inclusive. And I mean, we don't really need an excuse to feature like Central American civilizations, because we need more of them, and this is a perfect opportunity. We don't need another white man story, so let's bring this in. So I'm going to quote from this article because it's fantastic. So the article says about Namor: he's strong, he's shirtless, he's in a Speedo, and most importantly, he always has those cute little wings on his ankles. Because the wings are perfect. In the comics, the wings represent his mutant ability to fly, and when he loses the wings, he loses flight. They feel more symbolic and mystical than actual appendages capable of lifting a human body and propelling it through the air. Oh. But, delightfully, Ryan Coogler, the director, and the MCU said, "Suck it, physics. Those bad boys are gonna flap." And so for Namor's screen time in the 2-hour and 40-minute feature, they do. They flippity flap and hum and buzz like little hummingbird wings, and I love it with my whole soul. And Namor is able to not only swim faster than a torpedo, but he also flies with a speed and agility comparable to Superman. And it is all thanks to those little flippy flappies. They move Namor's big, muscly body around without a care in the world, defying gravity, biology, and logic. A visual homage to both the Greek god Hermes and the Golden Snitch. They are both beautiful and absurd. They are fun and extremely impractical. They are the representation of everything I love about superhero comics, and I love that they were included in his big screen debut. Science might say they shouldn't exist, but then again, Science says bumblebees shouldn't be able to fly
I knew
either.
that the
So
bumblebee was
there.
gonna come up now. Knew it. The flippity flap kind of bothered Yuffie because Yuffie is the resident
Ornithologist.
residing bird lady, and
Mhm.
I felt bad for the chicken wings. And I mean,
Yeah.
I know this is bullshit when I say it bothered me with Namor, but I'm totally fine with this on Hermes. Like, what the fuck is that? What kind of internalized fucking racism do I have got going on? But I've also
Hmm.
have barely seen Hermes flying around with them either. So I'm like, it was just this weird combination for me in the moment. And I
Hmm.
didn't even recognize the spike ears until they mentioned them, to be fair. I was just like, whatever. Didn't notice that.
um, yeah, like I the wings didn't bother me. What bothered me is like he seemed so OP. It was like, how is
Mm.
anybody supposed to beat this bastard? Like he is so powerful above water, underwater, out of water, flying. Like, damn. Like, where's Captain Marvel? Is she the only one that can take him? You know?
So what they then did figure out was that, what was it? Heat kind of dried him out, and then he lost his powers because he got the
Yeah, he
power from the
needed to keep
oxygen.
replenishing himself in the water.
Yeah.
So they
Amphibious
had to take
skin.
him to the desert or put him in a ship when like take all the heat out of the air, like um
Yeah.
dehumidify the air,
That's
make
like a
him
field
hot.
day for Yuffie and her biology
Honestly.
knowledge. Like, ooh.
um, mhm. But I really like his character. I don't read the comics. We all know this.
Yeah.
But like I like that this interpretation of him, and I mean I did not hate watching him.
I understand what you mean. Yes, he was nice to look at.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't think he was my favorite to look at though. But now when I think of what's my favorite to look at, then I can't think of anything. Also, can I just say, Shuri gives me massive envy vibes.
Envy.
NB, non-binary
Oh.
vibes.
Oh, okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that.
Just putting that out there. Like this is just a theory for me, and could be
Mm.
of total coincidence. But and obviously like, the way you present has nothing to do with your identity either. But I was like, huh.
Mm-hmm. I
Sometimes
can
it
see that.
still fits, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Um, so the main plot of this movie was that the CIA had come what's the word? Come across, found, commissioned, I don't know, this weapon, this thing, this robot thing, machine. That's the word I've been looking
I
for.
was like,
It's a
what are you
machine.
trying to
We're
say?
going for machine.
Because
That
it
can
did nothing, did anything, and I was like, what? What's she talking about? Anyway,
yeah,
yes,
the
machine.
CIA commissioned or slash found or slash stole this machine that can detect
Vibranium.
vibranium. My brain was
I
just like,
totally
yep.
saw you blank on what they was looking for, the thing. Like, I could see
Like
it
I couldn't
happening.
even get the word machine. How was I supposed to remember vibranium?
That's
um
why there's two of us here.
yes, thank you. So this machine can find vibranium, and that's how we're first introduced to um the Lokans, because they find this vibranium vein under the sea. Um, and it turns out, as we find out more, that it's actually a young college student that developed this machine
I
um,
love that about it.
called Rai Rai. Was her in game was her character's name Rai Rai, and she is just like what a 20 early 20-year-old
Yeah. Super
woman
brain.
who super brain and like um she might be my new favorite character. Like I was so blown away by just her casual awesomeness and her casual smarts and like
I
how
know.
just like she was so fucking cool, um
Also,
and
so
smart.
ridiculously unaware about her own abilities. Like, obviously she knows she has skills because she's just creating everything, but it means nothing to her.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really dangerous because it means nothing to her. She just loves creating this and being like super smart and super mechanical and like super build things. She's just so into this because I need to
Mm-hmm.
go to school and I need to have like differential equation and stuff. So she is like really into all of this and doesn't give a shit that she just created a machine that can detect whatever. It's like casually building like the nuclear bomb and not even like like this is so casual with all of this, which was
Mm-hmm.
just made it really fun.
Yeah. And like plus like not only is she developing this machine for the vibranium, which the CIA is desperate to get replaced because it got busted up by the Locans, but she also has created her own like Iron Man suit. And
Yeah.
over the film we see it in two different instances, like the first kind of build, I suppose, and then like fighting in that, and then later on she actually dons it for the big battle between the Wakandans and the Chalokans. And um it's really really awesome to see like this 20 early 20s woman has just casually built a fucking flying suit
Yeah.
that can go pew pew and is like at the same level as Tony Stark was
Oh yeah,
after being in
100%.
his like genius billionaire laboratories, and she's just like building this in a warehouse, like an
Yeah.
abandoned warehouse.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, damn girl.
Mm. And as Yuffie said, I
Like,
loved all the black as fucking STEM references. 100%.
yeah. Yeah,
It
like
was
just
there was just
mind
this.
blowing.
Yeah. This entire movie was just an ode to the power of black women, I feel, especially black
Yeah.
women. Obviously, black people and black culture in general, but black women were like the thing in this movie and had so many
Mm-hmm.
different roles and aspects. You had Ramonda, you had Okoye, you had Shuri, you had Nakia, you had Rai Rai. Like they just did so much epic shit throughout this entire movie. Like you could see, and I just love this about the bit at the very beginning of the movie when you just could see like they had this meeting with the big nations, and the US and France were like, we want your vibranium. And they never tried it before because men were in power, but Ramonda was just sitting there being like, fuck
Mm-hmm.
you. um, Not with me. You might think I'm weak now, but I'm no way am I weak. And my army of epic women warriors, they're
Mm-hmm.
gonna show you
And
too
they
how
like
epic
come
we are.
into this Congress like with all of these men who tried to stealthily like enter their laboratory and steal this vibranium, and their warriors just like walked in with them.
Yeah.
Like, you mean these guys that did not only failed but also proves that you're breaking all accords here.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was so good. I just loved everything about that. Like all of these stories so they were just made me so happy seeing them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm at the same time I'm like, oh, this should not be so rare that you sit there and are like, yeah, fuck yeah, this is so great and stuff. It's
I
just
know. But I do think that this continues to be something that the MCU is doing a really
oh yeah.
fantastic job of, like Ryan Coogler getting to direct and like write these stories featuring Black culture and starring this incredible powerful Black cast, and this one in particular, Wakanda Forever, bringing in like the Mesoamerican cultures as well, and showing like the horrors that were done to them like 500 years ago. And like these are the stories that we need to
Yeah.
hear and
Yeah.
celebrate, especially this excellence is everywhere.
Yeah.
And more stories like this, please. And thank you, MCU, for doing this, because I do like they're leading the way in it.
Yeah. And you just always, and then I think is so, you just always see that obviously stories told by the people it affects are way better than stories
Mm-hmm.
told by straight white men who think they can tell a story.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because,
Um,
yeah.
mm-hmm. And we're reading Bad Feminist in book club this month, and that's something that she talks about. Is like stories that are told by white people, like Black stories that are told by white people, and they just are so full of performativism and like stereotypes and like white saviorism, and they're just not great. Like they don't hit like they're just not good representations of, you know, what Black culture is and what Black culture is actually like. And it's, we need more people, more Black people telling stories of Black culture.
Yeah. 100%.
Mm-hmm. And like, also, can we talk about Nakia
Yes.
and her, number one, going on like her stealth mission to rescue Shuri, um and like just one woman armying that shit. Like, she was just unreal there. um I felt like that was another powerful moment of Black excellence, and
Yeah.
like just really showcasing like how amazing women are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And I had, at the end, I did not see coming.
No.
I was like, I mean, as soon as I saw them walk up to the fire, I was sat in the cinema again on my own, and I was like, and I had like a feeling of it as well. And as soon as I saw it in the back, but I had no inkling up until this
Mm-hmm.
point where I then saw her with the boy, that this was actually gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just that was something that I did not expect at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was such a powerful, incredible moment of like, wow. And then like talking about the reasons for keeping the child secret, and
Yeah.
like that T'Challa had spoken to them of his illness when like he didn't even speak to the people in Wakanda about it. Like he
Mm-hmm.
kept that under wraps, and like what this would mean and why the child needs to keep secret for now, and like that he doesn't want them coming to the funeral, and like
Mm.
all of this, and like unpacking of these emotions, and then the Shuri just being like, holy shit.
Yeah. I also love that she asked if her mother knew,
Yeah.
and that she knew. I also really like that because it showed me that she respected all, because often you have these storylines of, you are the ancestor and you need to do as I do, and you need to step into my footsteps, and the one that come after you need to do the same.
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't. Like, she respected their decision to keep their son away from all of this.
Well,
And
but then I also wonder, did she only just find out when she went to get Nakia, like just a few weeks earlier?
oh, could have been, yeah, could have been.
Like that's when I assumed that she found out. Um,
Maybe, yeah.
but I mean that's not explicitly said either
No.
way, but that was my assumption.
Yeah. Could have been, yeah. The way I
But I
interpreted it
do
in the
agree,
moment
like,
was that she knew.
yeah, yeah, and like respected that. And yes,
Yeah.
like Yuffie said when the kid said his name, oh, and you just said it with such pride. He was like, that's my Haitian name. This is my real
Mm.
name. And it was just like this
It was
moment
so.
of, mm-hmm, that there came the waterworks.
Yeah,
There was many,
there was so
many.
many waterworks during this entire movie for me. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah.
I also, yeah. Just didn't expect Ramonda to go as well. Like, what
I
shit
know.
was that even? There
It
was
was
already
shit.
so much death, and then all of a sudden she's also dying, and I'm like, no, I'm not here
Mhm.
for that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Like, no, thank you. No.
no, thank you. But
No.
there we were crying in the cinema again.
Again. Again. Too many cries. Too many cries.
It was good.
So what do you think about Everett Ross, about Martin Freeman's role here? I've seen a lot of people saying that they think that he is the most useless character. This like CIA agent who's on the Wakandan side. Um,
I have such a soft spot for Martin Freeman.
well, I do too.
Ever since I have seen him in um uh back back the Adam Douglas, fuck me, what's it called? The Hitchhiker's Guide to Galaxy. There we go.
There you go. You got there eventually.
I got there eventually. I just loved him so much in that movie.
Mhm.
And even I know that a lot of people don't really like that movie, especially the ones who read the books and everything. I get all of that. I haven't read the books before. I've seen the movie. Anyway, I've really loved him in that movie, and ever since then, whenever I see him in any role, I just have this soft spot for him because I think he's a really good actor.
Mhm.
So I'm like, I wasn't. Yes, when you think about what he brings to the story, shit all. um, but I also think that there will be additional storylines because that lady, and I think
Mhm.
he's one of the. Isn't she the new head of Hydra or something?
I think so.
Like she was definitely someone evil. Like she when
Yeah,
in some movie she came up.
Valentina Allegra de Fontaine.
Yeah.
Um, and she showed up, was at the end of Black Widow, she showed up to recruit.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah. And then she
Exactly.
was in another one. So there is
I
she
somehow
she
have
showed up in
like
something else as well, didn't she? I can't think of what
um
it was, but she has been showing up in
WandaVision I
like
kind of have in my head for some reason, but I don't know if that's true. Maybe not. But yes.
so yes, so the fact that that they are ex-husbands, ex-married people, divorced
Oh,
people.
I didn't get
um
that. Oh, they were.
yes, yeah. And
Oh, I
yes,
did.
Charlie is right. It was Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Thank you. That's exactly what it was. And thank you to Wikipedia.
Charlie's so smart.
Charlie's so smart. So like there is definitely something here. And I think that they're going to develop this storyline because obviously I need to keep going back and forth because names are just escaping me. Everett Ross is obviously like playing the side of the Wakandans, the Avengers, like the superhero side.
Mm.
And then Valentina is playing the CIA like evil side. And yeah, there's gonna be I'm very intrigued to see where this goes. And the fact that like the Wakandans rescued him at the very end, um,
Mm-hmm.
as well, because he got arrested for aiding the Wakandans, basically.
Yeah.
And then they
Which they
rescue him
probably will
and
call treason or something.
oh probably, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I don't hate his character. I kind of
Yeah.
feel a bit like he's maybe gonna be our new Phil Coulson.
I would be here for that. I'd
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah. Like he's the good guy US government kind of agent who's on the side of all these
He
superheroes and
is
but the government
ripped though.
liaison.
Jesus, when did that
Phil
happen?
Carson or Phil
No, I
Coulson?
mean,
Or no.
no.
Oh,
Martin
Martin
Freeman.
Freeman. Yeah,
When
that's
did that
true.
happen? I know like Phil Coulson is like this massive, like, what? martial arts guy
Oh
anyway, so
yeah.
that didn't surprise
Yeah,
me. But
Clark
like,
Gregg is in like jujitsu and stuff, and he is like, hello.
yeah, and Martin Freeman was never. He was always this quirky kind of weirdo with like a, I don't know, soft spot in the middle or something. And now he just looks like this full on ripped guy, and I'm like, ooh, what happened here? So
What
I'm
happened here?
curious.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's probably training for something, I would assume. I mean, that would
Training
make
for
like,
training for this.
yeah. You think he would just train for this 20
Why
minutes that you
not?
see them in this movie? Maybe.
Why not?
Because it's a lot of effort.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
if he
mean, like
gets
he's
paid
always
a lot of
been
money.
pretty hot, you know, in like kind of a dorky way.
That's what I mean. He was always a kind of dorky and always a bit softer, you know? Like, not that he was like round in the middle or whatever, but he was always this squishy one. Like, you just want to be like, oh, you're so cute. And now he's like, whoop, what's happening here?
Whoop.
Maybe I'm just getting old.
Maybe.
But yeah, I like him.
Yeah, me too.
I always like seeing him in movies, just so because I'm like, oh, you cute.
I
You're
do.
great.
I like him.
You.
Yeah. Do you have any other thoughts about the film that you want to bring up?
No, I think we've been through a lot of different doors today. Not very coherent, but
no. But when are we ever? Anyone in chat have anything that you'd like to bring up about the film? Speak now or join us in Discord and talk about it there.
No, but it was in general great movie. Really loved it.
Yeah,
Curious
same.
what's coming next.
Oh yeah, it's made me so excited for the next installment, the next phase of Marvel, because I think we must be quite near the end of this one now. Phase 5.
Yeah. Are we?
We must be.
I've kind of lost track in what phase we're in now. Yuffie says she loved it. Great movie. So many emotions can't wait for more. Yeah.
I agree.
Can't sign that.
Sorry, no, I think we're at phase 4. This might be the end of phase 4.
Yeah.
We're towards the end. Let's see. This is the last film. She-Hulk was the last TV show.
Was it?
And in phase 4. In phase 4, yeah. And then there's a Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special coming up. And something else called Werewolf by Night, which I don't think is out yet.
That holiday special is already on Disney Plus.
Okay, well then that's the that's it. We're at the very end of phase 4, which means that phase 5 is going to be coming up next year, starting with Ant-Man and the Wasp and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Cool.
And then looking into the TV shows, we've got What If Season 2, which you didn't even finish. What If, did you?
Didn't finish,
you should. It's very good. We're going to get Loki and Ironheart, which is going to be following Rai. And
is
her
it?
cool, yeah.
Oh, I
she's
have Ironheart on my Marvel Snap. I've seen her there.
That's who she is. And yeah, so we're getting like, I'm looking at phase 5. I'm getting quite excited. So yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Yeah.
I'm so excited for Loki. You don't even know.
Oh, I know.
Loki.
Oh, I know.
Loki. I'm so.
Yeah.
That's such cool things coming.
There
and I mean,
a lot
100
of cool
and 101 additional series, I suppose.
7. What If Season 2, Secret Invasion, Echo, Loki Season 2, Ironheart, Agatha, Coven of Chaos, and Daredevil Born Again.
Agatha Coven. Oh my god.
It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
And then our films are Ant-Man and the Wasp, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, The Marvels, Captain America, New World Order, Thunderbolts, and Blade.
Oh, I'm so excited for the Marvels too.
Yeah. So in Thunderbolts, we're going to see more from Valentina as well, because she is going to be one of the stars of that one. Yeah, so lots to look forward to. And what a way to end phase 4 though. Like,
It's
what a way.
true. Yeah, that was really true. Oh, that makes it
Yeah.
even more special now. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Obviously, I wasn't paying attention, so that's why I didn't know.
Okay, I'll keep
Cool.
you right. That's why there's 2 of us.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, if you have anything that you want to talk about, listeners, please join us in Discord. Apparently, we don't talk about our Discord enough because we have a long-time listener who just joined us the other day who didn't know we had a Discord. So we have a new Discord. It's not new. It's 2 years old, 2.5 years old, but please come and hang out there with us. You're very welcome. geekcaring.com/Discord. Come hang out and talk about geeky shit with us.
Exactly. Cool. That was great. Thank you so much.
That was great. Thank you. We'll see you again next week for another amazing episode of Geek Caring.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace out.
Peace out.
There we go. Love that.
Love it so much.
Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Thanks, friends. And I don't think I got too snotty.
You didn't? I didn't hear any of that. Like, there was no low key, low key, low key, low key,
Low key, low key, low key.
low key.
Excuse me.
Well done.
Jesus.
Oh, look at you go. Okay. I would say we send everybody over to Ed. What do you
Fine by
say?
me. Yep, that's fine.
Cool.
We love Ed.
Obviously. Oh no, raid. What? Why is this so stupid?
What?
When you type in the raid command, you can't type it in with an @ because then it says invalid username.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
And I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
So annoying. Okay.
Oh, Kit Kat just opened my door.
Kit Kat
Is it my turn,
open.
Kit Kat? Is it my turn?
Thanks, everyone. Have
Thanks
a
for hanging
wonderful
out.
rest of your Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And see you next week with I don't know what, but we will.
It's Geek Girl in the news.
Oh yeah, cool, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
She's been annoying as hell. Well, you can
That's
do it.
because she wants to be in here with me, and I'm like, please give me like an hour and a half of peace, lady. That's all I ask for in my entire week.
What a mood. She can lie on your face again in a second.
No, I don't want her on my face. I'm too stuffy for that.
Face, though. Oh no. Have a good rest of your day.
See you,
Bye,
friends,
everyone.
later. Bye.